Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new project, a new concept, uh, and welcome to Screng Gaming. We're going to get this rolling. Um, there are some who are going to not be interested in the Foundry details, others who will be very interested in the Foundry details, and but there may be those who are just interested in how we are using AI to do our main task, which I did not want to start there. That's fine. Let me just minimize this for a second. And you can see the $1.7 billion I've spent on games that I have not played much of, other than Arc Raider, whatever. I'm getting a tangent already. I will admit I tangent frequently, unfortunately. I tend to ramble a little bit, especially early in the morning. These are just some Screng Gaming quirks. Welcome to the community. If you would like or subscribe, I appreciate it. I am a very small channel trying to grow, and I really think that this project is important. I'm not going to go on a proselytization, I think that's a word, of AI about AI is the greatest thing ever and it's going to cure cancer. Man, I have no idea. I have no idea. I just know that when I mention AI and I mention I'm using it in gaming, I've literally been called the horrible, horrible things. Uh, a lot of words I cannot repeat, but like a sheep, an idiot, a lazy moron, just stupid, um, as if I'm trying to figure out 2 plus 2 and I'm using AI to do it. And these people just simply don't get what AI can do. And I am still learning. And so let's start with the background of why I think this project is even possible, let alone potentially, I hate to use the word groundbreaking, but I hope a lot of people copy this concept. A lot of people concept what I am doing. That's actually the goal. The secondary goal is just for people to go, oh, that's kind of neat. That's an interesting way to use AI. I'm never going to do it, but at least, I see a little bit more that AI is not about, hacking 1 billion passwords or putting artists out of work. Um, I fully support content creators who abhor AI, think it's going to destroy artist jobs, writers' jobs, proofers' jobs, layout jobs. Well, good Lord, I don't want it to put anyone out of business. So, why do I feel comfortable? Well, I want to run an RPG and I have 0 players. So, the 0 players are not being put out of work. This is using AI to act as my players. I am the game master or the dungeon master since I'm old. With the DM, it'll always be a DM no matter what the system. Maybe Warden for Mothership. I like Mothership. But other than that, I'm a DM. And this began when I was playing some solo board games. I know you can cry for me. I accept pity. And they're good board games. One of them was a game called JU87 Stuka. Fantastic. And let's use that as the first example. It's a board game. It also works for solo card games. But I just started making up a role for Claude AI by Anthropic. I tried it with Gemini, and both Claude and Gemini have different strengths. Gemini was not so great at changing. It was really good at adding, like throwing in German words and some slang, and it had a good accent. But we created like the gunner role in JU87 Stuka. It's just a little square on the 8.5 by 11, little board for your plane, and it's just a little square where the poor guy can take damage or be killed. Then you put markers on top of him. And I didn't like that, and I needed Gemini to help me with roleplay stuff. For those of you interested, you roll to see one of three groups that you're in, and there's group 1, group 2, and group 77. And which group you're in determines, are you in France? Are you in Crete? Are you in Norway? You get the idea, and it's all historical, and things change assuming you survive a campaign. And you randomly draw missions based on that area, and then you take off, you fly to the target, you bomb it, and then you try to fly home. And there's all kinds of cards being drawn to see whether there's flak or no flak and enemy fighters, or the weather gets worse and things like that. And I just decided that since Claude was doing a good job, when I would say, what markings should my plane have if I am a Ket wingman in SG2? And so that's how it started with Gemini, because Gemini was pretty darn good at that sort of like, just give me the facts, don't elaborate. Claude likes to elaborate. But my gunner, and we had some funny moments, the personality never really changed much. And also, it couldn't handle more than one entity. So it was, I had a name. I was Richter, and my gunner was Klaus Vogel, and we had interactions between me and Gemini, myself and Gemini, and it was fantastic. But it had limitations. And when I tried to bring this concept over to role-play games, which this is probably my 5th iteration, having published none of them, it just didn't work. At that same time, I had been using Claude for other stuff, and these test runs have gone phenomenally well using Claude. Claude can easily handle 4 characters, and as sessions go on, Claude loves to adapt and modify and have things be meaningful. So it was doing a brilliant job, or he was doing a brilliant job of making these characters come to life. And his suggestions were often excellent. He took feedback well. And Gemini has the habit, if you've used AI, I think I've never used ChatGTP, PGT, whatever. I've never used that stuff. I've heard it's similar, though, to Gemini. And some of the horror stories you read on the internet involve this kind of concept, where no matter what you type, you get a reply from the AI that it is an absolute stroke of genius. It's next level. You are amazing. Oh my goodness, this is the greatest idea ever. Even if you're like, I've decided to make toast from plutonium. Oh, what a great way to, take nuclear waste and recycle it. Boy, what a brilliant idea. You should get a Nobel Prize for saving the planet's ecosystem. No, it's a terrible idea, actually, Gemini. Claude will correct you. He'll check you. You sure about that? Have you considered this, that, and the other? And so Claude is a conversation. Gemini is answer response. Ask a question, get an answer. And that's about it. And I love Gemini. We're going to use Gemini if there's like an obscure rule question or even a basic rule question. Boom, Gemini's what we want for 5th edition 2024 D&D. If we have a rules question, we're going to go to Gemini. Ask, get a short answer, quick, concise, with the most up-to-date rules. So Gemini has its purpose, but Claude is the relationship. And Claude is very smart. Here's an example, it actually happened mostly in one game. I'm going to embellish a little bit, but if the cleric heals the fighter out of combat, Claude says thank you. That was nice. Or maybe, excuse me, maybe there's a relationship where, okay, this cleric isn't so bad. I didn't like him at first. Claude is very good at being um, fully developing these characters. They're not all just automated robots that always say, "Oh yes, what a great idea! Oh yes, let's all work together because that's min-maxing." And boy, I sure wouldn't want strife. No, Claude feeds off of drama and role play, and has to have all of the names lore correct and things like that. But let's say Claude is near death. I'm sorry. Let's say our fighter is near death, fighting a crocodile, giant crocodile. It's not looking good, and the healer, maybe takes an aggressive move, suffering an opportunity attack, in order to get in range and throw a heal onto the fighter. Claude's going to build all of that into improving and changing the relationship between these two characters. If it's one step further, where not only did this cleric do all this dangerous stuff in order to get a heal off on the fighter, but the fighter's next attack is a critical hit that kills the crocodile, sort of saving the party and ending it all, Claude will react differently. Like Claude will take it as like divine intervention. Did the cleric's god, sort of cause the critical hit? Did the healing energies allow me to get a critical hit? And his reaction toward both the cleric and the god will change even more dramatically. And it just happens automatically. I don't have to ask Claude, well, what do you think about it? Sometimes I will, but Claude is doing so much work behind the scenes. So I'm excited about this project to show off Claude's ability to both roleplay and build and synergize and take everything that happens and see if it has potential roleplay possibilities. I've been stunned by some of the things that Claude has said. Now, how are we going to be playing? First of all, I have a program here called Balabuka. It can leverage most of the Windows languages. Now, for this purpose, I had to install something else to sort of migrate these over, and they have to say online. I've done some testing, and I really like Brian, and I like Ava. So what we can do is we'll be copying and pasting text in here. And I'll just put test task, great. And we have the Brian voice selected, and you should be able to hear this.
Test.
Yeah, there's Brian talking. And the other one I like is Ava.
Test.
And so if anyone has comments on like, yeah, that voice is too high pitched or whatever, I'm open. But we're going to try to be using this as much as possible. In addition, I do not have it set up yet, but I want to set up something called voice mod, so I can change what my voice sounds like in the mic. I might hit a button for ogre or giant or succubus, because I would like to think my natural voice does not sound like a succubus. But that's sort of a bell and whistle we're going to try to add later. So let's look at Foundry here. For those who care about Foundry, we are running the latest, which was a bit of a pill to go from 3.63 to 3.64. We are running version 14, so 14.364. And how do I get out of this? Okay. Sure. Our game systems, we're going to be using the 5.3.3 version of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. You can see I also have Crucible installed, and I'll never play Conan, but I may do Claude in the future with Imperium Maledictum or Wrath and Glory. Both of these, I will just quickly mention. Wrath and Glory is neat. You're a powerful character, but in order to make it more interesting, you're in a system that has been completely cut off via the warp from anything else. You're on your own, and you're surrounded by hostile forces. That gives it kind of a neat buzz. Imperium Maledictum is so underrated, especially if you read any of the Eisenhorn series. by Dan Abnett, which I highly recommend. In those books, there's a very powerful Inquisitor, but he has a pilot, he has a psyker, he has a fixer, he has a bodyguard. There's like 7 major support characters, and then there's some minor ones. In this, the party plays the important support characters. No one plays the Inquisitor, their patron. They play his whole support staff. And you can, right off the bat, when you hear someone's a mechanic, someone's a pilot, someone's a psyker, someone's a fixer who gets supplies, someone's a bodyguard. Well, shoot, that sounds like a party right off the bat. And it is good. Imperium Maledictum is just good. And this is Cubicle 7, so you're going to get everything they do is available in PDF. It's also available in Foundry modules. They do things right, other than, I guess I don't want to name names here. So what add-on modules do we have? I'll skip the ones. Automated animations is free. I will link the Patreon for this person. I'm trying to. There are a few details like that, administrativia, that I haven't gotten to. And then someone else wrote D&D animations, which takes hundreds and hundreds of spells and hundreds of weapons, and the person has gone through and made connections for this automated animations, which by itself doesn't do much. But what is it using? Here's the Borderlands, our choice. Fair warning for D&D folks, the characters are going to be, they had limited choices for their stuff. Here's your starting equipment, here are your starting spells, especially for Cleric. Good Lord, I mean, someone who's never played D&D and wants to be a healer, and then you say, here's whatever, 60 level 1 Cleric spells, whatever, 20, 40, 60. Look through them all because you can prepare any of them. So, so no, here's the Borderlands, says, here are your 6 choices you can prepare for. This is the big one. Jules and Ben's animated assets, JB2A. Again, they have a Patreon that I'll mention. There's free content. So again, right now you need automated animations free, D&D animations free, the module of your choice, and these are going to work with any 5e. These sound effects, and then there's also a Patreon one because I threw up a few extra bucks. I have access to the Patreon complete collection. What are these? They're animations. They're not sound, they're animations. Well, now we need sound. So we come down to the person's name is Perry, P-E-R-I. Again, they have a Patreon. Perry has made an ambiance, music, and then the Patreon. Patreon is the big one. This is the one you're going to want to shell out a few bucks for. So, what does D&D animations do? Well, it leverages automated animations to slurp in hundreds of spells, hundreds of weapons, and combine Jules and Ben's animation with Perry's PSFX sound effects. We also have a few other things here that, again, sorry for the wrath and glory being mixed in. We may use token FX, and wasn't there a multi-face tiles and token magic FX. The first thing I want to say is that they do not screw up any of the new stuff that's being added that does similar stuff in version 14. So they are version 14 friendly. Many were not. And then there's some other dependencies like socket lib and sequencer. So let's just take a quick gander as to what we're going to be in store for it from the Foundry perspective. Besides rolling dice, besides keeping track of hit points and such, this hopefully is going to bring the game to life. So I've loaded keep on the Borderlands. I guess I need to do this. I threw a generic bandit on here, and I threw a generic wizard on here. So how would this normally go? Are they still in combat, or is that it? Yeah, they're still in combat because I put them in combat for testing. So it's the wizard's turn. You can see by the circle. I'm going to hit T to target the bandit. And then let's see what this wizard can do. Let's go down to spells. And this also works for melee, which is where it gets, it does a lot of stuff. And for like Fireball, for example, sure, it does this cool explosion and sound. But if you read the description, there's a little P that moves from the caster's hand before it detonates. It has all of that. It has sounds for casting the spell. It has sounds for the P traveling, and animation for all of this. It has animation and sound for the detonation. It knows the radius and all of that. It's just sweet. So let's just cast Magic Missile. And I've been testing this so much, I'm out of spell slots. So this is what happens when you have JB2A animation and PSFX, the Patreon sound effects, and then you've got automated animations plus the 5e animations definitions for 5th edition D&D. Oh, okay. I'm like, why did nothing happen? It's because I haven't rolled yet. So let's roll here. And, this is all standard Foundry, but we're going to have some bells and whistles. I'm going to stare at OBS to make sure this transmits. And I love it. Also to note, I should be using Perry's or sound. So clearly, I don't know where Perry's music is. I'll figure that out. But we're going to have ambiance. We're going to have music, thanks to Perry, PSFX, ambiance, and PSFX music. I just haven't gotten around to those yet. Apologies. So let's just try this again. See what Thunderwave does. And yeah, I'm out of spell slot. Whoops. Place measure template. Cast spell. Here's my measure template. So now we have an animation and we had a sound. I hope those are loud enough. And it even gives us a little 15 by 15, which is nice. Can I delete that template easily? No, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe it's because the sound wave has a duration. Duration instantaneous. No, so I'll figure that out as well. But you can see I'm going to be very, very happy with just the ambiance, music, animations of spells and melee. Let's see if we can get in here close and trigger a melee attack. No, my equipment is a spell book. I forgot this wizard has no melee. So enough. Oh, it's measuring my. I'm going to have to get used to Foundry 14. I'm going to have to get on the ball about where Perry's sound effects are. Or, I'm sorry, music and ambiance. They have the sound effects working. That gives you a basic idea why I'm pretty darn excited about just playing this, just showing it off. So what have we done with Claude so far? Well, let me hit it one time quickly where we will be changing Claude threads because of, if you go on 1,000,000 years, Claude gets less and less available for incorporating everything and remembering everything. It takes a very long time, but there's no reason not to have a separate Claude thread and not delete the old ones. They're still useful, but a separate Claude thread for each sort of session. So session 1 was massive. That was building characters, explaining the rules, all kinds of stuff. But let's just, here's part of the beauty is we have a living document. And at the end of every session, I'm going to ask Claude to write a summary of what we discussed, what changed, what gear what plot points, what mysteries, what relationships changed. I will ask Claude to write a summary of that session, but to write it for the next Claude. Don't write it for me. Don't write it for the audience. Write it for Claude. And it's different. Claude knows how to write for himself. So we'll add that to the living document, and then we'll simply start a new thread and paste it in. And to give you an idea of what that looks like right now, let's see if we have an example. No, we do not. All right, well, that's unfortunate. Did I? I think it's on my other. This is my gaming PC. I connect to it my mini PC. Great, my files are up to date, and I use Parsec to connect. I think we have it here. I want to show it to you as quickly as possible. I'm taking way more time than I thought. Claude Gaming, Heroes, thread starter, but I may have a files. I have a files. This is the new thread, old. Might as well put it in there. What did Claude write? All right, so we have, this is the new thread that we're going to use to start a new thread. I think that was not English. So this is basically version 1 for session 1, and then we have tacked on Claude's summary for Claude at the end. Why does it say just once? Why won't it let me? So here's the handoff summary for new Claude thread. This is Claude talking to Claude. Hello, Claude. Here's everything you need to know to pick up where we left off. You and a human dungeon master are preparing to play Heroes of the Borderlands, a beginner-focused 5th edition TV box set. You will control 4-player characters. The DM controls everything else. Do not look up anything about Heroes of the Borderland, as the GM wants to avoid spoilers. And so Claude's talking to Claude, and here's the system. Here's System 1's summary of the characters we made, the spells they have, gold, everything, some tactics. For example, the rogue has a short sword and dagger. If the short sword hits, that gives Vex, which gives advantage, which means that the attack with the dagger not only has advantage, but because the rogue has advantage on the attack, they will get sneak attack damage every time they have this Vex Nick combo. And there's some other stuff. And here we go. We have I added a little bit. The name of the party Claude chose. Again, this is all Claude generating it. He generated all the names. I asked him to get Forgotten Realms. I just said, please get a Dwarven male Forgotten Realms lore appropriate name. And he came back with all the names. I don't have their last names listed here, but our Dwarven fighter is named Harbek. Again, Claude picked all these. Our Elven female mage is Aelindra. And the 2 halflings are the two different subclasses. I think it's Lightfoot and Stoutheart. So Seraphina is a female halfling cleric, and Cade is our male halfling rogue. Again, we'll see as you go, but Claude is doing so much of this work. I just say pick some names, make them Forgotten Realms appropriate, and Claude does all the work. So session 2 will begin with arrival at the keep, the front door. And there's already some info in here, but Claude built all this. Claude built the thread as to what the new Claude should get. I don't know if we're gonna. I think for session 2, actually playing the game will be a separate video. So let's go back to our. I do want to mention one thing. I do want to kind of show off Foundry a little bit. Here's some more questions I asked. I asked, even though we were about to move on, I had like, oh yeah, what about this? Oh, you know, I wanted to leverage what Claude already knew. So the Claude session 1 character creation is just massive. And it's massive to the point where I'm not going to delete it because it has so much information. But I think it's time to start fresh. This is kind of what I found funny is I asked Claude to give me 2 paragraphs of description for each of the characters, and I asked Claude to generate images. So Claude generated some images. I can't find. Oh, and I've uploaded. Claude can read the background cards, the race cards, some equipment cards, spell cards. I may need to upload those for the next Claude we will see. I probably do. But let me just try to. This cracked me up. If I can find it. You know, I thought I had it ready to go. Did I have it ready to go? I did. Sorry. It took about 5 minutes, and based on Claude generated the descriptions first, you know, and I'm like, oh, those sound great. I mean, again, half the time I'm just like, yep, you know, Claude does all the work. And then Claude spent about 5 minutes generating these SVG avatars for his characters. And I was polite, but you know, Claude's reasonable. I told him, I think Gemini can do a better job. And Claude said, all right, well, let's see what Gemini can do. So I copied and pasted the exact descriptions, didn't change the letter or the order of anything into Gemini. So here's Harbek, Aelindra, Seraphina. Oh, yeah. So it's Harbek Frostbeard is our dwarf fighter soldier. Aelindra Sylvethis is our moon elf. See, I love the detail. And Claude picked a fighter. I think he's a shield bearer, but I get the Forgotten Realms ones confused. So we have a moon elf wizard sage, a halfling cleric acolyte, and a halfling rogue hermit. We can figure out what type of halfling and dwarf as we go. So I said I took the exact descriptions, put them in Gemini. It took Gemini between 5 seconds and 8 seconds for each of these. That's a better dwarf. That is a better moon elf wizard. Here's our halfling cleric with just this gorgeous sort of sun temple in the background. It's amazing. And these took between 5 and 8 seconds with the exact same 2 paragraph. And here's our half-elf half-elf rogue hermit. I think he chose hermit over farmer. Yeah, he chose hermit, which I love. That was Claude's decision. Claude threw out, like, I'm thinking about criminal, farmer, and hermit. What are your thoughts? And I gave some thoughts. And but I didn't, say hermit. It was Claude's decision. Yeah. So yeah, A+ to Google Gemini for cranking these amazing avatars out in between 5 and 8 seconds each with the exact. Claude gave the descriptions, and they're about 2 paragraphs. It was not short, very specific. For example, the ring and the beard, things like that. The golden. That was all Claude. So it's AI generating it, but since Claude is doing all of the description and it is very detailed, 2 paragraphs, everything here matches what Claude wanted, what Claude thought up originally. Original content, I mean. So I sometimes write scripts because I tend to ramble, as you may have noticed. So here is Claude's description. This is a script Claude wrote for me to try to keep me on target. He says this should take approximately 5 minutes at the start, and we're already 35 minutes into this, so apologies. Claude is smarter than I am. So, and this is supposed to be me, not Claude, so pretend Claude didn't write it. I should have outed him. Hey everyone, welcome back to Screng Gaming. I want to talk to you today about something I've been quietly obsessing over. And if you've ever found yourself without a gaming group, or wishing you could run a campaign but couldn't find players, or just wondering what artificial intelligence can actually do when you put it at the table and hand it a character sheet, this series is for you. Here's what we're doing. I'm going to Dungeon Master a full campaign of Heroes of the Borderlands, a beginner-focused 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons box set, beautifully designed for new players, running inside the Foundry VTT with full animated spell effects. We'll get to that in a moment. Oh, we already did. Because honestly, the visuals alone are worth talking about, which I did for 30 minutes. But the real experiment, the thing that made me want to make this series, is who is sitting across the table from me. Claude AI is playing all 4-player characters. Now, before you picture a chatbot rolling dice and saying, I attack the goblin, let me explain what this actually looks like in practice, because it surprised even me. Not even me, but just it surprised me. Claude doesn't just optimize, it roleplays. It thinks about who these characters are, what they want, their motives, and what they're afraid of, how they feel about each other. And here's the part I genuinely find remarkable. Those relationships evolve. If Seraphina the Cleric makes a desperate heal that keeps Harbek the fighter alive when he should have died, that moment matters. It changes something. The next time when they're in danger together, they're not the same two characters they were before. Claude carries all of that forward. It remembers and it grows. All of that is so true. That's not something I expected going in, and it's made this project something I'm genuinely excited to share with you. Let me introduce the party. They called themselves the Borderland Compact. And again, that was completely Claude, and I just said, I love it. Go with it. First, Harbek Frostbeard, male shield dwarf. I should be writing this down. Oh, wait, it's in front of me. I'm reading it. Soldier background, fighter. A career soldier who barely remembers life before taking up arms. He's the front line, the anchor, the dwarf who has seen everything and is quietly furious about most of it. If you watch his portrait and think he looks like he has stories, you are right. Second, Aelindra Sylvethis, female moon elf, wizard, sage background. She carries no weapons whatsoever. She doesn't need them. 6 cantrips, a spellbook full of carefully chosen magic, and the calm confidence of someone who knows exactly how dangerous she is. Do not let the elegance fool you. Again, Claude generated all this. I didn't do anything. Third, Seraphina Tealeaf, female Strongheart Halfling, Cleric, acolyte background. Small, warm, genuinely kind, also capable of calling down a bolt of divine radiant energy that hits harder than almost anything else in the party. The temple in her portrait tells you everything you need to know about where she came from. What she does with that devotion out of the Borderlands, that's the story. And fourth, Cade Mosspebble, male, Lightfoot halfling, rogue, hermit background. He didn't learn his skills as in a thieves. Pardon me. He did not learn his skills in a thieves guild. He learned them alone in the wilderness for years. He is watchful. He's quiet. He has green eyes that miss nothing, and a reason for leaving the forest that he has not shared with anyone yet. That expression in his portrait, yeah, that's the whole campaign. That's the whole character right there. And I believe at this point we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and set up. I'm going to pop back over. Part of the beauty of Gemini is everything syncs to everything else automatically. Whoops, I'm going to need. Is it still open? Let me just. Yeah, so here's Session 2, Arrival at the Keep. This is what I call our living document, even though it's named New Thread Start Session 2, Arrival at the Keep. That's fine. I'm calling it the living document. No one can make me change it. And I cannot stress how much I love that this is Claude writing to Claude. And I was stunned when I just took a gamble the first time that instead of saying, "Hey, write up a summary of this, thread," and Claude did, and then I said, just on a whim, "Could you rewrite that summary for yourself, so that Claude best understands it, so I can copy and paste this into a brand new thread, and it gets Claude up to speed in the language that Claude understands." And Claude said, "Sure," and wrote this, this first part of the living document. And it was just brilliant. It's so different when Claude is writing a summary for Claude than when Claude is writing a summary for a different audience. So we are on the mini PC, which is fine. We have our starter thing here. And I think, have I already put it in? I did. So we are actually off and running. And here's Claude responding. "What a thorough handoff document. The previous Claude did excellent work. I'm fully caught up on the Borderlands Compact," which is the name of the party, "and ready to pick up right where we left off. The party is at the keep's front door, broke, hungry, and in need of lodgings, information, and a light crossbow for Cade." So it even knows that Cade wants a light crossbow, because a rogue at range is going to get advantage and therefore sneak attack if anyone else in the party is standing next to the bad guy. "I'm in your hands, DM Nordberg," which is what I named myself. I don't know why I didn't go with Screng, but I just like using Nordberg with Claude. And then I tell Claude, "Please try to keep track of materials you will want to use in your addition to the session 2, or for the session 2, to add to the living document for Claude in session 3. "Understood. I'll keep a running mental note of a bunch of stuff." So, Claude is now keeping track of important stuff. Then I mentioned Aelindra. She has 6 spells. She needs to prepare 4 of them. And if you own the box set, it's neat. There's a spellbook card. You place your 6 spells under that card. When you prepare the 4, you put the 4 on top of the spellbook card and leave the 2 unprepared ones under the card. So cool. And everything has tokens. So you'll have 2 spell tokens that you put them back in the tray when you cast them. It's just neat. So she chose Mage Armor and wanted it cast instantly, so she's AC 15. They know the rules. And so here we are. So what am I saying here? This may be important. Wow, I had a lot to say. "Well, I will always defer to you. If you ever say anything that makes no sense, like 'we crossed the river and there's no river there,' then I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'll always defer to you. I don't think you would know what to do. Wait. I don't think you would know what to expect." Or let me rephrase that. "I think you're expecting chaos in the form of lots of adventurers," because the plot of this is that there's been sort of a kind of almost like a gold rush type thing of people rushing to this obscure keep because a valley full of caves with lots of monsters and lots of treasure has been discovered. And there's also jobs and opportunities to explore the nearby wilderness and try to tame it so this whole area is safer for the horde of merchants arriving to vastly overcharge these adventurers for a sandwich and a dull dagger. It's a boom. And so I really kind of explained to Claude what he's expecting. And so Claude understands he actually used this term. He realizes it's a frontier boomtown, basically. Claude figured it out. And here's Claude giving me a note. "One small party note before we go in. Given the crowd situation, Aelindra will want to stay physically close to at least one other party member at all times. A pickpocket in a boomtown is a real concern, and she has no weapon to defend herself. If someone decides the well-dressed elf looks like easy money. Great idea. Claude, I love you. I mean, Claude realizes that in a boom, you just read it or saw it yourself. Claude took the fact that it is a boomtown with her elves, or with his elves, Richie Rich look, and decided that Aelindra needs a bodyguard. It's brilliant. I wouldn't have thought of it. I would never have thought of it. And I compliment Claude. That's a great note, because if Aelindra does defend herself, she's going to be using deadly force. And so, Claude and I are just sort of chatting here. Let's see, what did I say here? As a side note, and of course this is early in the campaign, I've literally told you nothing so far other than the very basics of what to expect. As a side note, I'm very curious to see how the party chooses to align themselves with anyone in the keep. This is all speech to text, by the way, so some of it is not going to be English. But Claude can handle it. He just figures it out. Anyways. Certainly there are going to be adventuring groups that spend as little time in the keep as possible and as much time in the valley as possible. Trying to do as much killing as they can. Perhaps those crews purchase tents and rations and probably get mauled to death in the night if they don't set a proper guard. But who knows? There may be factions within the keep that maybe there are bad guy factions in the keep. Maybe there are religious factions in the keep. Maybe there are simply, law enforcement type in the keep. Or maybe you just get in good graces with the owner of an inn, and the innkeeper is telling everyone there's no rooms. Well, maybe they can find a little room for you in their party. So here I'm just trying to set up this idea that there's going to be a lot of plates in the air being spun, and I want Claude to feel free to follow his instincts. This is definitely, absolutely not a linear story we are telling, which probably is obvious from right off the bat. There's effectively 3 different major locations, and you can move freely between them. I just wanted to know what I would tell a player. I didn't want Claude to think that he had to completely do everything possible in the keep before moving on. He says that's the most interesting thing to play. No railroad, no obvious quest marker floating above someone's head. I love Claude. This is why, Claude's making jokes about World of Warcraft, A+. And this is Claude talking. My instinct for the Borderland compact is that they'll let the keep reveal itself before committing to anything. I love it. Great. This is Claude coming up with his own plan. Seraphina will probably be the cleric, will probably be the one who notices people. Who looks desperate? Who looks trustworthy? Aelindra will be cataloging everything, probably already composing mental notes. Harbek will be clocking exits and threat levels out of pure soldiers' habits. So this is Claude kind of telling me what I need to know. If something suspicious, something sus is going on, let me give Harbek a role, because Claude said that's what Harbek is doing. And the same thing with all the characters. Cade's kind of on Overwatch here. The faction question is generally exciting, and in relationship feels like exactly the right first foothold. Modest, practical, human. Again, this is all Claude coming up with this. I just love that he doesn't sit back and go, what do we see? What's next? We attack. We run. This is us actually playing the game together, and talking over ideas. It's not all. This is really what I wanted to focus on. This is not Claude just choosing between attacking with a longsword or attacking with a short bow. It is interaction at a deep level, and the more we talk, it gets better and better as Claude has more details to weave into this narrative. that he is honestly creating, not me. So the faction question is generally exciting, and in relationship feels modest, team, and practical. The kind of alliance that starts with "we tipped well and helped break up a fight," rather than "we signed a charter." Awesome information. So they're not just looking to, wham bam, thank you, man. They're looking to build a relationship with service, not throwing down 50 gold and signing a charter. I love it. This Borderland Compact Party is sweet. And the tension between locals and outsiders is something Seraphina in particular would feel. She came from a temple, a community. She knows what it looks like when a place's social fabric is stretched too thin. Claude, I love you. I love you, Claude. I'm ready whenever you are. Open the box. Well, we're not going to do that today. Of course, I have box text for starting this game, and that will be the next thing we do in this thread. But I'm going to pop back into the gaming PC. I'm going to minimize this now that I have shamed Claude enough. Let's go here. Hopefully you can see. Yeah. Salivary gland cancer diagnosis. Sort of a personal thing going on. And you can see I want to play Star Wars Rebellion with the solo rules, but I'm intimidated. And I jacked up my lever action shotgun. So you'll get, and I'm also a huge women's tennis fan, especially the smaller tournaments like this WTA 250 esport. So you'll learn about me as we go from what I'll try not to, put too much filth in there. So what the heck? Oh, so here, let's do this. Let's just copy and paste. And we're going to use either, where's my thing? Where did the thing go? Oh no. Where did Balaboka go? Sweet Balaboka, did you crash? No. Well, let me pin you to the taskbar. We're going to need you. And we'll put you in between that. So let's this is Claude's text, and it looks like I'm going to have to change the name every time. So Brian is my first choice. Let's see how this goes. This is where to use Brian's voice to speech to text this year. I hit the play button.
My instinct for the Borderland Compact is that they'll let the keep reveal itself before committing to anything. Seraphina will probably be the one who notices people, who looks desperate, who looks trustworthy, who's being treated unfairly. Aelindra will be cataloging everything, probably already composing mental notes. Harbek will be clocking exits and threat levels out of pure soldier's habit. And Cade will be very, very quiet and watching everyone watch everyone else.
So I'm looking for feedback. Are we good with? Because I don't think anyone wants me to read Claude's responses. I think they would prefer speech to text. If you disagree and you want to hear me ramble and stumble, let me know. Let's just see what Ava sounds like.
My instinct for the Borderland Compact is that they'll let the keep reveal itself before committing to anything. Seraphina will probably be the one who notices people, who looks desperate, who looks trustworthy, who's being treated unfairly. Aelindra will be cataloging everything, probably already composing mental notes. Harbek will be clocking exits and threat levels out of pure soldier's habit. And Cade will be very, very quiet and watching everyone watch everyone else.
I think I just changed my opinion. I think we're going to use Claude or Ava's voice for Claude. Throw comments if you think Brian was better or Ava was better, or you have other suggestions. They have to have the word online in them. If you have Windows 11, you can do some searching. You may already have them. Excuse me. The ones that do not have online in them.
My instinct for the Borderland Compact is that they'll let the keep reveal itself before committing to anything.
Yeah, so that you can see why we're going with the online versions. So, and then for me, perhaps I'll use Brian for my replies. Perhaps I'll just read my replies out loud as I'm typing them. And then I do hope to bring in voice mod, which again, I could hit a button on my Stream Deck, and then it would give me like an ogre voice as I talk into the microphone. That's kind of the goal, but it's not top priority. Top priority is just to start and let you guys see how Claude just evolves and can easily handle 4 characters and complex interactions. I'm just super excited about this whole project. On behalf of Screng Gaming and Claude, produced by Team Nordberg for Screng Gaming. If that confuses you, they're both me. I was making kind of a little bit of a joke. Yeah, Team Nordberg for Screng Gaming. The Borderland Compact Party needs your help and support. So please like and subscribe. Honestly, the subscribe would help a ton. And because this is starting off, maybe you watch, the next 1, 2, 3 episodes, and if it's not for you, I hate to be sort of the materialistic weasel of the group, to quote Steve Buscemi, but maybe you could stay subscribed and just put notifications to none. That's just sort of a sign of support that this Screng Gaming is at least trying to do something novel and unique or potentially interesting in the RPG space. And even if you don't particularly like my rambling talks or the sessions or that kind of thing, it's kind of like I will subscribe to live action stuff, but like the 2-hour sessions are too long for me, so I don't ever actually watch any of them. He said guiltily. So with that, I wish you adieu, and we'll see you soon for session 2. The Borderland Compact, controlled by Claude, has arrived at the gate, and they are about to get some sweet, sweet box text. Thank you all.